How's it going, everyone? My name is Faerghast, and welcome to my review and survival guide of Cindered Shadows DLC. This video is simply me going to go over my live stream of this mode and giving you some tips that I think are going to be pretty useful for you if you're struggling with the mode and if you have any kind of questions on how to play well for this mode. So first things first, I'm Faerghast, and if you've never seen a video of mine before, I make Fire Emblem content, Let's Plays, news coverage, scripted videos, character analysis, map reviews, kind of everything under the sun that's related to Fire Emblem. So if that's something that you're into and you like Fire Emblem and you want to kind of get yourself more invested in the series, then this channel might be good for you. So if you do end up enjoying this video, stick around, subscribe, watch some more videos that are going to be linked in the end credit card thing. And if you do like it, then please leave a like and comment down below on what you thought about it, or you can provide your own tips to the video, because this is pretty much just going to be my experience. I'm just going to move that light. It's kind of just... So this video is going to be basically tips that I've thought were pretty helpful just based on my own playthrough. So there is some bias here. This is just based on like kind of how I play Fire Emblem and how I've played Cindered Shadows, and you can actually see the VOD on my channel, all 7 chapters played in one go. It was a really epic stream, so if you want some entertainment, then I would definitely suggest checking it out. But yeah, enough of that. So first things first about Cindered Shadows is that it actually is a significantly harder and more challenging mode than the main game, particularly because not only are the characters and classes really limited in that you only have 8. It's like the 4 students, the 3 lords, and the 3 other characters. That's your team, and you also have very limited options on reclassing. Basically, each unit, save for the Ashen wolves, can only reclass into 2 other classes that are actually like relevant, and that provides another obstacle. Another one is that you won't be able to learn any skills or anything, so everything is just really fixed. The only thing that really is a variable is your level ups and the EXP rates that you kind of dispense around your 8 units. Is it 8 or 9? 3, maybe like 9 units, I think. And yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is that the actual objectives of these chapters are some are similar to what you've seen before, but the kind of setup of these chapters and the gimmicks are things that you haven't seen before in the main game, which would provide an extra challenge because it's providing you with new obstacles and ways to kind of tackle the map that way. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over some tips chapter by chapter and kind of make this a survival guide if you're really struggling with the map. I beat this mode in about 12 hours on hard classic. And I really enjoyed it. I definitely think it's worth your time and money to play. It's a really good experience in my opinion. But if you're struggling, then this video can serve as kind of a guide just for some quick tips based on each chapter. So I have my VOD right here. I'm going to change the display. So let's get started with kind of the first bit. So as you can see, this is just kind of based on my playthrough from before. And I'm just going to skip towards the beginning here, and we can just talk about the reclass options. I think this part is also pretty important. So as far as reclasses goes, as you can see, you can swap out. We'll stop there. We'll pause there. So you have Byleth, Edelgard, Dimitri, Claude, Linhardt, Ashe, and Hilda. So basically what I did for this first chapter is you get the choice of Byleth becoming either a white mage or a mage or a swordmaster. I would definitely suggest going swordmaster because he has naturally high speed, and the swordmaster actually enhances his growth, and you are going to be leveling up at like at least like 15 to 20 levels with Byleth, because Byleth is actually probably the best character to use in this mode. He is a swordmaster. You can get that speed growth, and that's going to be really, really reliable for dodge tanking effectively. Out of everyone in this mode, he is the most reliable and the most dependable unit you have. Combined with Retribution from Ashe's Gambit, that's going to be really helpful. A lot of these maps are actually dominated by axe users. I think that's for intention, so it gives spotlight to Byleth to be able to dodge tank, because he'll naturally have Axe Breaker as a skill, and that will be able to tear up a lot of axe armors and warriors that are really prominent in this mode. So having Byleth be a swordmaster, combining his crazy avoid with avoid tiles, is pretty much going to shoot his avoid up very, very high enough where he can reliably dodge archers, bolting mages, which are a big kind of problem, as well as definitely like not getting hit by axe users basically ever. So my first suggestion is actually sticking with Swordmaster Byleth. Edelgard can reclass into either a warrior or a fortress knight. Edelgard has the most defense, and when you stack a steel or a silver shield on her, I think it's steel in this mode. When you stack that, it boosts her protection up to like 36 or whatever. And for the first few chapters, basically everything that is physical is going to tank her. Dimitri can go into either a hero or a paladin. I would suggest keeping paladin because that mobility is really, really good basically everywhere. Hero doesn't really have a lot of assets to it. Swordfare is cool, I guess, but and Vantage is Vantage is really situational, I find, and not really the most useful skill on its own. With Paladin, you get Lancefare, which is really helpful for him, and being one of the most mobile units in this mode is going to be very, very helpful. And Assault Troop is going to be really, really good for him as well, because he has insanely high charm, and being able to do Assault Troop like with relative good mobility is like super clutch for you. There's moments even in this chapter where Byleth couldn't get a kill. I'm gonna see if I can find it. It was towards the end. It was basically when this map was finishing up, and Byleth couldn't get a kill. Yeah, so it was about right here where basically I had to gambit. I was gonna say Leon. I had to gambit Yuri and a few of these units so I could really get some advantage to really clear this map at the very end. As you can see as well, Retribution tanking is a huge strategy I did right here. So Retribution with Ash into an avoid tile with Swordmaster Byleth boosts his avoid to ridiculous amounts. Even in these early chapters, tanking with Edelgard as well with Retribution is really, really helpful because she's really good at baiting. And so she can like really deal with like a lot of archers and flyers as well. She has Lance Breaker, which is pretty helpful too. So as you can see here, I couldn't get a gambit to kill this assassin right here. So what I did was I had to make sure that, yeah, so as you can see, I had to make sure that just that amount of gambit support from giving Byleth, sort of the creator, and I forget who that, I can't see who that is right now. Yeah, so Byleth and Claude right here combined gives him enough might to actually kill this guy with a crazy high hit rate. So conserving Dimitri's Assault Troop I found really helpful because there's going to be situations where you can kind of manipulate how the AI will move, where you can stack them and line them up in a way where you can gambit them. And right here was a perfect kind of, it was a really good play of mine, kind of one of the highlights of the first chapter. Basically, I had him able to gambit him, and there you go. So combining your gambits is going to be really helpful. Dimitri can, for the most part, KO one unit with his Assault Troop if you kind of stack the right chips together. Claude can go either into a Sniper or a Wyvern Lord. It kind of depends on how you want to play these maps. I want Sniper Claude for a bit because he gets Bowfare, and that's like really good for him. He gets like Curve Shot as well. I found Sniper Claude to be helpful in some. In the open maps that were really wide, I felt that Wyvern Claude was more helpful. Linhardt, keep him as a bishop. I think he's the only one with physics, so having him as much healing as possible is good. Ash does fine as a sniper. He's fast enough already at base to double most of the enemies in chapter 1. He's able to double Happy in chapter 1 as well, so he can kill her pretty quick. Ash is, I find, really useful in these first few chapters. And I also got Strength blessed with him too. Hilda, she's tricky. She's really limited in what she can become. She can only kind of be a warrior. And I honestly think she's not super good. I know some people found her really helpful on killing the golems in chapter 3, so that's that. But as far as like the 8 units here, I feel like Hilda is the most kind of the hard. She's kind of marred by the same issues she's marred by in the main game, which is that she takes a while to get going. And in this map, I think she takes a while to get going as well. So as far as some tips for the first map goes, if we go all the way back here. So the first chapter isn't really that tough. Basically what you want to be wary of is Basically, these 2 assassins at the front here, you can either tank them with Edelgard or try to kill them like I did. Balthus really isn't that threatening. He's actually kind of an underwhelming unit to play. I think he's one of the least impressive ones of the entire cast that you get dispensed towards you. This map is a huge map, but basically it's just clearing all 4 of those bosses because this map does get reused later on. So you clear Balthus, which is pretty easy to do. I feel like people generally don't have trouble with this map specifically. Happy is going to summon a worm, which is part of her gimmick. She's going to summon a worm. She's going to start here, and then she's going to kind of travel all the way down here. She's going to summon this guy. This part is actually pretty easy. It's mainly just baiting with Edelgard here, and then just taking care of him as you see fit. Like I said, Ashe will be able to kill Happy in like 2 hits. She's really easy to deal with. And then Constance isn't really threatening either. Where are we here? For this area that's kind of over here when you're coming up, Constance really isn't that threatening. She doesn't really have a lot to offer. She can get totally demolished by Sniper Claude or Ashe. It's a matter of just kind of baiting her. You can use Linhardt to bait as well. And for this last pocket, you can just gambit with Assault Troop when you can kind of lay them all out. And then, so the big things I would suggest for this map is take advantage of all the tiles that are given to you. Use like combo Retribution with Edelgard and Byleth. And where Edelgard is going to be like defensively tanking everything, Byleth is going to be able to dodge tank a lot of shit that comes at him. And for the second chapter, let's move on to the second chapter now. So the second chapter is a little bit more tricky. There's a little bit more gimmicks involved in this one, and it's actually a pretty long chapter. It was like 17 turns, but it took like forever. We get introduced to Yuri, Balthus, Constance, and Happy. Yuri is an extremely useful unit. He's not necessarily the most like, he doesn't really have a lot of like power behind him. But he'll do well with 11 sword if you want to use 11 sword. But his utility is really going to come from the Fetters of Domni or whatever, which is like the Kanto ring. So him being able to do foul play plus the Kanto ring is going to be really good for swapping characters around and really helping characters kind of move from one space to another space. Especially for Edelgard, who's the slowest unit you're going to have in this game. Her mobility is really, really challenging if you go armor. So having Yuri kind of help her go around is really cool. You can also trade swap the ring as well, but you just got to be careful that if you do it on someone without a crest, they're going to take 10 damage after every hit. So swapping around the Fetters of Domni or Dromni or whatever, I keep forgetting what it's called. His relic item is a smart play. Balthus, he's kind of not really remarkable in any way. I feel like he has a hard time killing physical units. He doesn't come with Death Blow, which is like a huge dagger for him. It really kind of, if he had Death Blow, he'd be able to kill a lot more things easily, but he doesn't. Heal is okay. Yuri's heal at least has Recover. Constance and Happy are really, really good. You just got to be careful with Happy in this map because there's lots of stairs, and stairs are like -3 for Cavaliers, so or for cavalry units, and that really kind of screwed me over a couple times because there's a lot of foot units on the enemy side, and Happy could get caught up by just not being able to Kanto out and then being in range of some enemies. So be wary. Happy could have a hard time dealing with just mobility in this map. So the gimmick behind this map is that every time you clear a wave of enemies, a new wave comes in. So I cleared this one. For me to get through this one, I pretty much just blazed these 3 with Edelgard, and I kind of just dealt with these enemies as they came. As you can see, a lot of these enemies are like axe-based, so assassins aren't really going to have a promising hit rate versus Byleth, and these axes are going to get totally demolished by Swordmaster Byleth here. A common strategy I pretty much employed throughout basically everything is just enemy phasing a lot. This mode is actually really easy to enemy phase, and what I mean by that is that you can plant a unit on like an avoid tile and just have him go to town on a bunch of enemies. And the reason why that is because this mode doesn't really have that many gambit enemies. So basically, if an enemy comes at Byleth, then they're probably their AI is going to tell them to attack. And because they don't have any gambits, they won't actually be able to perform or because they don't have battalions, they won't be able to gambit, which means Byleth will always be able to retaliate, especially if you put retribution on him. And then Byleth is going to tank these guys. At this point, I actually gave Byleth the ring here, so the Canto ring is on Byleth right now. Constance is also like faster than Happy, so her AS is a little higher, so she'll be able to double more easily than Happy can. Constance is really good. Her mobility is great and her speed is great, and she'll be able to kill things pretty good. So like in this instance here, like these brawlers have like, sometimes they have unarmed combat, but even with silver gauntlets, like Edelgard's defense is too much for them. When I got the yeah, she's just like way too good. She'll just be tinking everything here. And then after you clear this first wave, yeah. So the way these guys kind of come in is like once you clear out this wave, then they're gonna come in this way. So they do spread, but they won't actually move. So you have a chance to react. And reinforcements, they'll come on. So instead of ambush spawns where they wait for your turn to end and then the enemy phase goes and then they spawn and attack, this one they kind of they spawn on your turn. So you kind of have a chance to react out of it, which is how this mode likes to treat its reinforcements for the most part. So more visitors already, they come in, and now you just got to deal with this wave. And it's the same idea. It's mostly just, so I threw on retribution on him again, and I'm going to have him there. And as you can see, like this mode, again, dominated by archers and axe guys. Byleth over here is pretty much going to clear everything. There's going to be moments where you're going to want to kind of back out for this map. What I did basically was I realized there's a lot of people coming in here. So what I did was I like, don't be afraid to kind of back out. Like you don't have to go like toe to toe with all these guys because there's archers here and stuff. So, you know, play to the character's strengths. Edelgard does really good here. Byleth does quite well here. I started to kind of retreat a little bit because I wanted to take advantage of my avoid tiles. So as you can see here, I'm starting to kind of run away and kind of just deal with them this way. This is a moment where like an 80% gambit actually missed, and this kind of led to some pressure. 80% in this mode for me, like the RNG was not in my favor, so I didn't really, I wouldn't trust 80% in this mode because it is pretty punishing to miss a gambit. Just even getting someone to help support that is really helpful. So I tried it. Oh no, I hit it. I connected. Yeah, 80%. I missed an 80% another time. So yeah, yeah. Like I said, like because like Dimitri has so much mobility with Assault Troop, which is like such a good gambit. Like these are the kinds of things that you'll want to try to do most of the time with Assault Troop. Mad Melee isn't really a good range for gambits because it's such like a weird line, and it's kind of hard to set enemies up to line them up like horizontally rather than like kind of in a straight line this way. Mad Melee honestly is pretty much only useful, or like, I mean, it's always going to be useful, but I found it most useful at the end game boss because it is like a kind of a giant creature. But yeah, so like in this kind of case, gambiting with Dimitri is going to be really good. If we continue. So yeah, this wave has a lot of physical units to begin with. So basically what that means is that it's going to probably, I think what I did was I tried to tank with Edelgard or I tried to dodge tank. We'll see what happens what I do actually. Yeah, I took Byleth to try to dodge tank this, I think. Yeah, like, so check out. He has 53 avoid. The Fetters of Drami is really good on him. What I decided to do here is I decided to dodge tank with Retribution on Byleth. I know there's a temptation for people to want to go White Mage for Byleth because they want the extra healing, but honestly, you're really screwing yourself over. Play it at Byleth's strengths. He's a sword master. He's really fast. He has crazy avoid, good prowess. Like being a mage isn't really going to be very helpful. You have 3 mages already. You don't need a 4th. Like you want as much like combat potential as possible, and by going White Mage, you're really you are hampering yourself if you go like healer for Byleth. Like just don't do it. his spell list is garbage too. Like, it's trash. He does way better as a Swordmaster. This wave is also extremely slow. Like, they're like, the most move that these guys have is 5. So like, it's really easy to kind of exploit their movement here. This is pretty much just like you kind of kite them in, and then you just like go to town on them with gambits and stuff like that. I don't even think I need to use a gambit for this one. The biggest threat is the wyvern, so you just got to position your archer to take care of them. Like, look at these guys, they suck. Like 82, like he won't kill them, but he does sauce them up pretty hard. This archer's gonna come in. Byleth is doubling basically everyone. He got hit by a 39 here, but like, he just crushes them. Yeah, so Javelin. Dimitri has stupid strength. Like, he'll most likely proc strength. He didn't proc strength there, but he has really good, like, he can just kind of nuke physically. Probably one of the, like, him and like Edelgard and like Hilda can nuke pretty hard physically, but like Dimitri's really, really solid. So this was a trick that I do, and I'm not like super knowledgeable on, like, well, I like to think I'm pretty comfortable with like having to deal with like enemy AI. But basically what I wanted to do in this case was I wanted to kind of line up the enemies so they would go this way in a straight line, so I can kind of easily deal with them. Basically what I wanted to do was, because their kind of movements is going to be pretty predictable, like 5 move, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They kind of want to target here, and I really wanted to make sure that they kind of stuck in a straight line down here. So what I ended up trying to do was actually put Happy down here, so the AI would try to prioritize getting to the least defensive unit as possible. Now, I don't know if it's because I placed her here intentionally, or it's just kind of how the AI worked and how they wanted to kind of target whoever was closest. But basically what I ended up doing was having them kind of try to push this way because Happy was right there. And basically what happened was, when it did become my turn again, they ended up going this way. So they actually did end up blinding themselves in that sort of way. So here, and then here. So they pretty much like perfectly lined up the exact way I wanted them to. And because their movement is really like 4 and 5 movement is like really easy to predict, especially with these massive corridor here. Like, this is obstructing their movement by so much. It's kind of easy to kind of exploit how you want them to move. So basically, like, my original plan was to actually like gambit these guys, but honestly, like, I was so safe from everyone else that I just ended up killing them individually, because again, like, this third wave is so slow that I can take my sweet time and just kind of bait them. So basically, what I did, it was like a pretty feel good moment. It was pretty sweet. So basically what I did was I pretty much like picked them off one by one. Now again, this is a scary part. These stairs are kind of deceptive. These fighters can actually reach pretty deep. They never get slowed down, obviously, by stairs, unlike cavalry does. So just be careful that like the stairs could kind of screw you over if you're not careful. But basically, I worked on like kind of dealing with them one by one. I was still unsure about my gambits and wanting to use them. So basically my mentality was, if I don't need to use a gambit, then I won't use a gambit. And basically I ended up taking down each one one by one. And then in almost no time, they pretty much all died. Now, as you can see here, yeah. So like the closest person from here is like over here. So this third wave is like probably like one of the easiest waves to deal with, to be honest. Hilda is kind of meh. I think she even misses that one. Oh, no, she doesn't. Oh, no, someone else dealt with it. Oh, maybe that was him. Part of the strategy here was actually kind of swapping around Yuri's relic weapon with other people. Kind of Kanto strats and Kanto trades are pretty fun to do, especially when you're in such close quarters and you can kind of just like hit and run with like your melee unit, with your infantry units, which is pretty cool. And eventually, like, you just kill all of them, and then the next thing you have to deal with is like this last wave coming in, and at this point it's pretty much just like baiting and just like killing them each, because they're like, look at this, like, there's shit, like 2 fighters, 2 armors, 3 mages, and a cavalry unit. Like, you pretty much know what's going to happen with this one. So it didn't take long to deal with this last wave, or with the second last wave. Now the third wave that came in got a little bit more tricky, because basically what happens now is you get the surprise Death Knight appearance. So this was a hilarious revelation. Like he thought he smelled fresh blood, so he kind of hopped in. It's getting pretty cold now. I'm gonna put my jacket on. All right, so now we have the Death Knight, who is pretty normie. He doesn't really have anything that impressive. He's pretty much just the Death Knight from how you played him in Chapter 5. And then he does drop a Crescent Sinkle, though, which is pretty helpful. I gave the Crescent Sinkle to Dimitri, and it was pretty helpful. On this side, now you have, again, like it gets more challenging. You have 2 Wyverns, a Cavalry unit, 3 more Cavalry units, a 4th Cavalry unit, an Assassin. So this is kind of a more challenging part, and I ended up being at like the very bottom left, or I guess if we're facing this way, then it was the bottom. So after clearing these 2, I have to deal with these guys. Now the Death Knight actually gives you an incentive to move up, because the goal becomes defeat every unit except for Death Knight. So you want to keep as many units alive as possible. And then once Death Knight gets defeated, then you kind of have to route the rest of them. So there's some avoid tiles here. So I stacked my avoid with my Swordmaster Byleth in this case. And when it came time to actually deal with them, they started coming in. And like, look, 18 hit. Like a fighter has 18 hit on me, and I'm doubling with 27 might. Like, and this is only the 2nd chapter, so yeah. So then, like, the Death Knight's coming along, and this is kind of a challenging moment because I wanted to take care of those Wyverns. They're definitely the biggest threat. They're really hard to predict on what they want to do. I mean, you kind of have an impression of where they want to go, but they're definitely going to try to kill, and they're not limited at all by the stairs, so they're definitely the most challenging. For this, though, basically what I ended up doing was I think I gambited those 2 with Dimitri. I don't remember. Let's see what I did. Yeah, I ended up doing Assault Troop with those 2, and yeah, again, like these 4 are just completely useless on Byleth. Like, again, so many Axe users that Byleth can just take advantage of. And I genuinely think that was intentional. Like, I think they wanted to make sure that this map was like heavily dominated by Axe users, so Byleth can like have a lot of spotlight. So he can he can like be your MVP, because he's definitely the most competent dodge tank that you can get. And he's like so fast. He has so much good stats. It's actually fucked up how good he is. And this was kind of a hairy situation. It was pretty hardcore. But they did stack themselves up pretty well for Mad Melee and Assault Troops. So basically what I did here was I took advantage of my battalions, and I just went to work. Yeah, so right there, like, good lineup for Mad Melee. Took care of that. And then they were pretty much all like susceptible to be like to get their ass kicked. Yuri, Happy's having a hard time doubling, but basically we wither them down. Edelgard is in the corner here. She can bait the assassin as well if she wants. So she does that. Now, because there's 3 units left, I wanted to make sure that there was at least 1 left for the Death Knight, so I can kill the Death Knight and not end the chapter. So basically what I did was, because I gambited him, I ended up making sure that he was surrounded so he can just be kind of like my insurance guy. So basically what I did was, he landed a crit here, which is awesome. Like level 26, like 31 speed. Like, he's just fucking crazy. He's so good. And then, like, it's just like he's just like handling everyone. Enemy phase. So now it's getting time for us to deal with the Death Knight here. And basically what I do, I have to be wary of where the Death Knight's coming from. Is I'm deciding to deal with to Byleth, because Byleth has the AS to handle Death Knight's first attack, so he can tank it if he doesn't get critted on. So I heal Byleth. Should have used recover there, but that's okay. I heal Byleth, and then I actually start surrounding this Cavalier here. So I ended up waiting. I unequipped Ash. So as you see here, I unequip Ash, and and I surround this Cavalier so he doesn't... Yeah, so there you go. So now he's prioritizing Ash because I disequipped him, and he won't die because he's too fast. And now I pretty much have my squad ready to take on the Death Knight. And this was actually a pretty fun moment this was a pretty fun moment because like I have crazy avoid. I don't even know if I get hit by this. Like, there we go. He's taken care of. Enemy phase. Death Knight comes in. We don't really know why he's here. He's just kind of being the Death Knight, doing Death Knight things. And like, yeah, it's like, it is risky because not like he just has crazy crit, which is really frustrating. So you are susceptible to RNG, but he's not doubling me, which is the idea. Like if you want to tank, then if you want to try to tank a hit from the Death Knight, it's either going to be like Edelgard's crazy defense or Byleth's AS being too high that he can't double or he can't be doubled. And basically this pretty much wrapped it up. So after that, it just became a matter of doing a really cool kind of like Lord triangle attack, which we called it. I foul played over here, and then we surrounded the Death Knight. So we had Edelgard come over there. We gave her, like she's getting doubled, but she's being tanky. I would say that's way more risky than Byleth dodge tanking because he has 2 chance to crit, at basically like almost like at like 7 percentiles higher of a chance to actually proc that crit. So Claude gambits, and we whittle him down a little bit. And basically the really cool thing that happens here is I think they wanted me to check Edelgard's conversation with the Death Knight, which he had. And then I did a Lord Triangle attack with Dimitri. He came down. Yeah, so we had a really cool Lord Triangle attack here, which is pretty neat. And then boom, it was over. Like this guy didn't stand a chance. Like as you can see, like right there, there was all the Lords just going in on him, and then presto, changeo, you're done. And that was that, and then we killed him, and then that was that map. And then on to chapter 3, which is definitely a really challenging chapter for some people. It's a kind of a wonky chapter. Now, this is something that I didn't mention before, but you want to be wary about the actual options you do get and what's going to be fitting for each map. So once we go into the inventory, like obviously there's monsters here, so you want to have Monster Breaker. I get into combat arts here. Yeah, so I get into combat arts here. As you can see, I'm kind of like, be aware that you can actually swap out combat arts and abilities, and some are going to be more useful than others. So like Bane of Monsters is going to be clutch here. I think I get Helm Splitter. I think I put in this one. I don't know. Yeah, so Helm Splitter and hammers and maces are going to be good because there's a lot of armors in this mode and cavalry. So having Helm Splitter and Monster Breaker is going to be good for this one, of course. And so yeah, just be aware that you can swap out combat arts and abilities too, for some strats, because they are going to be relevant. Now, the gimmick with this map is it's kind of confusing and weirdly worded. Basically, you have to find a key, and then you have to take that key and use the key on one of these kind of like obelisk things. Like that one, and that one. Maybe they talk about it in the prep screen. So there's 1, 2, 3, and it's this one. This is the one that's gonna give you, this is the one you want to take. This is the real one. It's fixed, it's not random. This is the one that you want to take. It's the leftmost one or whatever. So you kill that, and then you have to bring that key over to that top. I don't know if I changed the map layout, but it's the top. It's not the middle one, and it's if you're facing the enemy in the classic Fire Emblem way, then it's the left one. This map is a lot of people don't like this map. I can see why. It's really big, and there's a lot of golems, and they keep spawning over and over. So your incentive is to kind of go at a fast pace so you don't get overwhelmed by golems. you have a limited amount of gambits to use, so you want to make sure that you're using them efficiently and you're not kind of throwing them out on enemies, and you want to make sure that you want to kill these. These are using magic, so Linhardt actually does really well for tanking them. Edelgard can, the first thing I did was tank with Edelgard on this side. I split my party up, but Byleth can still trash the shit out of everyone here. Basically, we split the party. I took Claude, turned him into a wyvern for this map. Yeah, so my party that I split with was Balthus, Yuri, Edelgard, Constance. I want to say Dimitri? No. Happy is over there, yeah. So that's what I did. On this side was Dimitri, Linhardt, Claude, Ash. I think Byleth was on this side too, yeah. So it was pretty much clearing those kind of first two groups of enemies. At this point, I got a Horse Slayer for Dimitri because his AS is good. And his strength is high, so his AS is still going to be pretty reliable to double. I think he actually does double these Cavaliers here. Yeah, these guys don't have any gambits either, so Dimitri will be able to deal significant damage to those two. And you also have Night Kneeler too, but I think Horse Slayer is a good buy for this case. The boss is kind of tricky after dealing with these two. Yeah, I think if we go back here. Yeah, so Dimitri isn't going to be, my Dimitri wasn't able to double, and he was just short of killing them. If I, rally strength with Balthus, and I brought Balthus over on this side, then the rally strength would be able to get the kill in one hit. But, again, still, 42 damage is a shit ton of damage, and it leaves the other guys ready to be, killed anyway, so it's all good. Just goes to show how, powerful Dimitri is and how solid he is, even though if he can't double that well. I actually ended up doing against this boss was I actually onslaughted. So I connected with the boss, and the onslaught actually pushed him one tile over, and I think that made me just a bit short. Yeah, that actually got me in. Actually got me able to get Dimitri over to attack, and to contribute that way. I think that's what I ended up continuing to do. Yeah, so Dimitri actually ended up javelining him and then stunning her and breaking that shield. Then what we did afterwards was this is where Yuri and Edelgard's kind of chemistry kind of works, I guess. This is really good. So, I bring Yuri along, we do foul play, and get Edelgard to actually be relevant in this map to deal with some damage, because she's gonna be hardcore marred by her movement if you go with this. Steel Axe Plus, which is there. We connect, boom. That's broken. I think we did Monster Smasher on that one. Yeah, Monster Breaker on that. Broke that barrier, and then the last one even though Happy has Monster Breaker as a personal skill basically, she still won't be able to break a shield if you can't do any damage, which is something I unfortunately realized after the fact. No damage, nothing happened. And she got knocked back into consciousness too. I ended up doing Monster Piercer over here and cantoing out. I had to deal some damage beforehand, so I wouldn't get retaliated on and I can get the kill. Shatters that shield, and then just got some mithril. Honestly, in my opinion, forging isn't really super. The only thing I pretty much forged in this mode was steel and iron weapons to be stronger than before. I feel that's pretty much all I had to do. Actually gathering materials really wasn't super necessary for me. And basically what we did afterwards was we just kind of went to town on them. This is kind of where Hilda's, I feel this is the first map where Hilda actually kind of shines because she can deal a shit ton of damage. But she doesn't actually have Monster Breaker, which is really unfortunate. That would really, I think, contribute a lot to her kind of relevance, but she still does some pretty hardcore work here. Yeah, so Edelgard finishes with the KO. We get the spell break key. Now I actually made the mistake here of not putting the spell break key in my inventory. I kept it on Edelgard for like no reason. It was a dumb idea. I actually got like regretted it in the chapter. But basically, at this point, the goal becomes getting to the top left and actually getting to the key and ending it, because the enemies will literally never stop. So we clear that. And you want to be careful. Enemies are going to area spawn here. Once you pretty much pass the forest up there, once you pass that, then you're going to have to deal with some enemies. So once we move, I think they spawn. Yeah, so at this point, I felt like it was kind of useless to continuing to split. Even if, like, I wasn't sure, like, what the gimmick was going to be by not actually getting the right key, but I figured it's better to kind of gather your people around than continuing to split up. The more the merrier. I mean, like, you're splitting your party against, like massive fucking golems and stuff, so I decided it would be best to kind of stick together. I was getting pursued by these 2 golems coming in this way. Oh yeah, so after you pass a certain point, there are going to be assassins that come from the left. So you just got to be helpful. Like these are actually pretty hardcore because they're assassins, they're fast, and they're in terrain. I ended up gambiting them just to buy myself some time. But you really have to be careful about these assassins, because if you miss your attacks, then they're going to probably punish you pretty hard. These reinforcements are like really, yeah, in my opinion, like kind of annoying. But they're pretty easy to handle, for the most part. You just gotta, like, it'd be worth the gambit them. But yeah, like even with curve shot, they're like 60%, 70%. Like it's not the most, it's a pretty shaky hit rate. Like I literally missed this. Like it was pretty sketch. I don't even know what I ended up doing for these guys. Yeah, like wind. Yeah, it ended up being Linhardt's and like magic being able to take care of business. I feel like this is one of those maps where you can be prone to getting overwhelmed a little too quick. But basically, you have to be just be aware that like these golems are super slow. Like they're mega slow and they take forever to get there. Like you can I let these golems come all the way from the top all the way down to around here. So like even having those 2 guys right there. At this point, Byleth has Retribution on, and this is kind of another instance where I decided to go Retribution on Byleth because I know that he can take on basically anything. So against these 2, I just kind of handled them. I wanted to make sure that all my guys were together so we can take them both on. Well, I went way past. And I wasn't really sure what was going to happen when I feel like I thought you had to get all 3 of the keys, so I was ready to kind of like go all the way up and to the right and like do all that stuff. But that wasn't the case at all. And pretty much after getting the spell break key on Dimitri, I just spent a turn getting there, and there's no real anything stopping me. And I ended up finishing the stage by hitting that one. So then close call, we did it. Our efforts paid off. I do know that if you get the wrong key, that enemies spawn, which could be tricky. So I guess that'll happen. But I ended up getting it right the first time. I just went left and just went that way. Now, I did leave all these guys free. There was a whole other boss, basically, but I didn't really give a shit. Like, I didn't really care. I feel like I was already doing well enough in the map that I didn't really need the extra EXP. And that's what happened. So that's chapter 3. So basically, it's kind of a big map with a lot of guys coming in towards you. But if you stick left and you like take care of the first groups of enemies on the top and on the right and the left, and you kind of veer down towards here, you should be good. You can, I guess, kill these guys if you want. Just kind of have like your spell break key opener guy in the bottom in the top left there. But honestly, like, I didn't really think it was super, like the EXP that I lost. I didn't really regret losing it at all. And like when I realized I beat the chapter, I wasn't like super remiss about it. Anyway, so that is that chapter. Now, chapter 4 is a crazy chapter for some people. Basically, this chapter is like really interesting. Can't kill this guy. You have 10 turns to get from this to a. Let's see if we can actually see. No. So yeah, this guy is huge. Like there's no it's intentionally it's intentionally designed to just make you not face it, because if you do, then you're fucked. Like, it's really strong. 55 magic, like 68 dex, it's 42 defense. Like, there's no way it's worth like fighting. And you're fighting phantoms, so get all of your targets to the destination. So first things first, I put all of my infantry and my slowest units at the very top so they can get there easier, and all my cavalry units at the back. Dimitri being a cavalier and Claude being a wyvern is super useful here, because all that mobility is going to pay off really, really well. Avoid tiles are up here, so you already know what I'm going to do against these these three guys over here. So this map is kind of confusing. This is the actual end spot you get to, but there's kind of like two stages to this map. If we see these two blocks up here, we have to get all of our units from this to here and to pass that before we get to the next stage of the map. So don't even bother. Like, I really like the setup of this map, because this is pretty much just like a looming threat, but it's not super overwhelming that it's a huge distraction. It's just a way for you to incentivize to push yourself, which is really good. Like, when you have these kind of anti-turtling incentives in your maps, I like this one because it's imposing, but it's not super distracting, which is kind of the balance that is worth it. Has fucking lethality at 68% dex. Like, it's gonna kick you. It's gonna destroy your life if you even try to deal with it. And then QR, so it's like GG's for real. There's no way you can take it on. Like Gambit 2, like fuck that. So pretty much the first phase of this was just bringing all my guys up, trying to rush there as soon as I could. Getting Byleth into a position where he can dodge tank these three. Again, like Axebreaker there, and those two assassins won't really be able to do a lot. I rallied his strength too. Balthus is pretty useful for that kind of utility. And now that he's like, his AS is most likely going to be faster than the assassins, he'll be able to take on those guys pretty quickly. Yeah, so he's doubling and like 25% hit. Like, these guys are trash. Like, there's no way. Like, this is the reason why I think Byleth is top tier in this mode. Because like, he just end turns everything. Like, it's over. Like, 80% hit is really reliable, doubling for the most part, really fast. So that's pretty much like this. Like, I think you can kind of see the pattern of how I've been playing these maps. This one you want to keep up with. The 10 turns is pretty tight. And what I did to get through this first phase was, yeah, again, like, I think at that point what I just did was I foul played Dimitri, or I foul played Byleth to get from that spot. He just cleared those three. I foul played him over here. He still has 4 turns of retribution. I rallied him again. Be wary of these two mages. They have 3 range, I think, so they're pretty scary. And now, like, I can reliably deal with all these guys. I think like I might have missed like a dodge, or I think I might have missed one of the hits or something. Just taking care of Ash because he got hit by something. I forget what it was. Yeah, so this is my first kind of mistake. I neglected to actually check. They actually have death, I think, which is like super high crit. Yeah, they have death, which is mega high crit, which could have been very bad. And then miasma, like, Happy just survived this, so that's spooky. I actually didn't use this lever. I feel like I was playing pretty efficiently where this lever wasn't super necessary. And I honestly didn't really understand the explanation behind the lever. It was kind of confusing to me, so I just didn't bother. I just unlocked the door with Ash. So I haven't played this part, but I think there's a risk and reward thing with this lever. If you open the lever, you do get a shortcut, but it does actually give the golem enough room to actually come through here. If you leave it closed, that golem can't really do anything to you once you actually pass this point. And I think it's like you have enough turns to get from there to here in 10 turns, like really, really quickly. So I dealt with those. I have Byleth trying to solo. Yeah, like, can you imagine me trying to like open these doors and like having to deal with like a fucking like massive golem coming in through this way? Like, no thanks. I get through here. I start chipping away at these armors. They're pretty stocky, but my mages can take care of them pretty quickly. Then I'm having my wyvern my flyer is basically, bolting's kind of reliable here. I think that's what I even, no, I didn't. I saved the bolting. Oh, no, I didn't. I used the bolting on that armor for some reason. So I didn't know what to expect next. But basically, on that end, I have everyone kind of coming through. At this point, I'm pretty much like Byleth can take these guys on. This was a little bit of a hairy situation because I wasn't sure how I was going to deal with Balthus kind of floating around. But basically, it ended up being okay. Everyone's kind of going through. We get to this. We beat this first phase. Byleth is just trashing even the sword masters. Like, he's literally unstoppable. He's a monster. And then we get to the second phase. And now there is kind of a new challenge with that new golem that just spawned there. We get past it. And then there's more guys coming in. So this becomes the new target area. And then we have an extra, we restart our 10 turns to actually get there. So what you actually can do is before you actually have your last unit on the bottom here, you just bring everyone in. Like, you just kind of funnel everyone in, and then you bring your last person over. So then you're already kind of starting really early on over there. Yeah. So like the time limit is a little tight for I would assume for other people. For me, it wasn't that tight. And again, like, it seems like a really panic chapter, but if you come at it like really calmly and you just kind of take your time and you stick to your guns and you stick to the strengths of the characters, you should be good to go. What we did, basically there was a lever that you had to pull, which I pulled. I pulled it with Happy or Constance because she has the most moves, so she can actually get out of there pretty quick. And basically what we're doing is we're piling into the gate. Where we have are the archers. Everyone else is kind of a non-threat. Again, like, you can kind of expect what I plan to do here. No one has gambits. There's 3 axe users here. A archer that's going to get doubled by Byleth if I wanted, and a mage who probably isn't that threatening. I think at this point, I think I did retribution on these guys, but I'm not sure. I think I might have had some retribution left. I didn't even like bother with that hallway. I feel like that was a long detour that I didn't want to deal with. So basically I funneled everyone through that gate. At this point, it's just kind of clearing through these guys. There's one hairy situation that I put myself in on pretty much purpose. Yeah, I just wanted the extra EXP, so I threw Byleth right there so we can take care of those guys. I didn't really read into a certain situation that kind of almost screwed me over, but I ended up kind of clutching it out anyway, like Claude being in trouble there. But I think I ended up doing okay. Yeah, so these guys start pursuing, but because they're axes, they have like literally no chance. Like, Byleth is just like fucking destroying everyone. Yeah, we have plenty of time. We take our sweet time getting everyone over, and this is where it gets really tricky. So this is probably the most chaotic moment. Once you pass this gate, once this gate passes, like we're 2 turns in of the 8. We have 10 turns to get from point A to point B over here. 4 enemies just spawned, and the theme of this is every time a unit crosses that area. Yeah, so I waited, and boom. So this is the theme. This is what happens. Basically, anytime one of your units passes the gate, then we get more reinforcements. So this is where things get really hardcore. Basically, the faster you actually bring people past the gate, the more enemies you're gonna have to deal with it at once. So you might, like, depending on how much leeway that you have, maybe it's wise to actually like take your time passing the gate. But for me, I was pretty confident in my ability to like take them all on. As you can see, like, that was perfect, like, gambit bait. I couldn't resist. I had to do it. So I did. But I missed because at 80%. I think I divine pulsed out of there, or maybe I just kept with it. No, I must have divine pulsed. Yeah, probably divine pulsed that one. Or maybe I didn't. Maybe I tried to gambit with Byleth instead. Yeah, I think I didn't even decide to divine pulse that, and I just wanted to gambit. Yeah, so I just did that instead and dealt with those guys. Dimitri missed, but then Byleth is coming in with the clutch one right there. So yeah, you can play out this part in whatever way. If you have a lot of free space or if you have a lot of free turns, then like just kill them each, you know, do what you got to do, and then kind of like take them all. If you do decide to try to like bulldoze through this part, you're gonna end up with like this kind of shit. Like like you're dealing with a shitload of enemies. I had to Divine Pulse out of here once. But like, it's just it's kind of a clusterfuck. Like I brought everyone over and there's like enemies everywhere. Gambits are really important to have towards the end here. Like this was just nuts. Like there was so many guys, but that's because I just wanted to like rush through it and like bulldoze through everything. So if you have enough times, I had 4 turns to spare by the end. If you have turns to spare and you want to like and you want to kind of crowd control this area, then like take your time. Like 10 turns is a long time. Like that's, most of these chapters are going to have, took me about like 15 to like 20 turns. So like having 10 turns to deal with like a small hallway like this is plenty of time. Like don't get overwhelmed by the time limit. Like it's there to incentivize you to push, but like just be calm about it. Like don't panic. Because like 9 times out of 10 with turn limits, like you don't need to panic. I had to get really funky with my gambits to deal with all these guys. But yeah, and that's pretty much that chapter. So you just clear everyone, get everyone to that spot there, and then you're good to go. Moving on to chapter 5. Yeah, so that map was actually really sick. That was one of my favorite maps ever in the game for sure. Really fun. I'm actually like, I mentioned this like in the video, like in the VOD itself. Like I really enjoyed it, but like it wasn't too chaotic for me. Like I'm like being a Fire Emblem like hacker and like a guy who like designs escape maps often, like it was really fun, but like as someone who like has seen a lot of these kinds of maps, like it's just a matter of like taking your time and taking it like taking every, like again, if the average turn count of these maps are like 17 to 20 turns and the map says you have 10 turns, which is like half of your time that you would dispense towards the map anyway to get to this point and beat it, that's plenty of time. Like that is a lot of time if you just pace yourself well and you take, like you're smart about your decisions. Chapter 5 is a map where we see, this was we've seen this map before. I think it's in chapter 8 of the base game where Geralt gets, you know, the old Monica. As far as this goes, like as you can see, like my Byleth is starting to really dominate. Like my level for Byleth is like in the high 20s or like early 30s right now. Well, we're about to see. So yeah, level 32, 24 for Balthus, 25, 22, 26, 26, 27, 28, 27, 25, and Hilda's like 24 or something, I think. I forget, I don't know. But basically like the people who are going to see the most combat are the main lords, and like the big 3, and then like Happy and Constance. The rest are gonna like have their own roles to play. But this is a map where you also get Elfric in this map, and he's an NPC that you can control. So he doesn't give EXP for killing, but you can actually control him, which is pretty neat. It's a nice little twist. At first, this map seems really overwhelming. But a lot of these enemies actually won't pursue you. They're going to be in range. So like there's a lot of guys at front and it's really top heavy, but don't let that intimidate you. All right. Yeah. So another gimmick is that Balthus starts at the very end for some story reasons, which is pretty hilarious. I would actually just leave Balthus here for like 3 turns and just kind of let them go back and forth. Balthus really won't have a chance of taking this guy on by himself. Every time you break a shield, like he'll probably just AoE and get his shield back. So for this case, just kind of like let them chill and like have concoctions for Balthus so he can stay alive. The knights at the bottom here won't pursue him. These guys won't pursue him. So just kind of like I would suggest just kind of like leaving them here and just kind of letting them float around and like fight each other. They won't do shit to each other. Like I would, and the reason why I actually would suggest keeping this guy alive is because of the gimmick that actually happens in this map, and I'll get to that in about 5 minutes. So this first turn is pretty much just kind of assessing like what damage can people do to you. I already used Happy to kill a knight. I decided to tank this whole side with Edelgard. And like I didn't really need to move anyone else really. Like it was just kind of getting in position and having these people do whatever they wanted to do. So yeah, as you can see here, these guys are just kind of chilling. They're just kind of fighting each other, beating each other up. I threw Byleth on the bottom here. He got that kill on the assassin there. And for this pocket, I think I gambited or something. But I use Aelfric. Like, he's helpful. He's pretty stocky and does some good damage. Yeah, don't be afraid to give kills to Aelfric, or even just let him like actually contribute, because he is pretty useful. He's both good at like melee and magic, and he can also serve as a healer as well. So Yuri can get some some Nosferatu kills here, I guess, and then yeah, just taking on each of these guys here. Now the gimmick with this one is, we're gonna get there in a second. Basically, the gimmick, what happens here is that the Ashen Wolves are like, man, there's so many of these guys. Happy, can you do a sigh and summon monsters? So she summons the monsters, and what that actually does is it actually rattles the entire enemy force, because they're all like super shook that monsters just came out, and they're like really sad about it. So everyone is rattled, kind of like in chapter 14 of the main game for the most part. There's a massive AoE rattle. Balthus doesn't get rattled by that. He just got hit by an area effect. So now this is something that actually kind of encouraged me to really overextend by accident. Well, it wasn't by accident. It was totally intentional. But it did cause me to overextend. What happened here was I tried to kill... So I got some bad RNG. I tried to kill this ballista user. So I missed a 71. And then I tried to use... use a javelin with a 90%, and I actually missed this as well. So I'm really trying to kill this ballista guy because he's a huge threat. And missing this actually ruined my entire like phase of this. So I had to restart and actually RNG abuse to kill him. But yeah, I missed a 90 to boot, which really pissed me off. Like I missed that. And that like threw off my entire strategy in a classic Fire Emblem way. I tried to work with it, but I ended up having to Divine Pulse out of there. This was also a pretty crucial mistake too. Because they're rattled doesn't mean it's probably still a bad idea to overextend and try to like get the guys up here at the top even if they're rattled. Like I would say like play a little safe here. Let's see if I can Divine Pulse. Because basically you basically get a free turn. And at this point, I'm like, I really overextended, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, this is how far I ended up going. Like, it was a really bad idea. This was a terrible mistake for me. So I had to actually Divine Pulse and get back to basically somewhere around here. I ended up gambiting these two. This is still the same phase. So be careful not to overextend. And the reason why I say that is because of that, whatever's happening up there. So I'm just going to get to a point where we start over. And I try other ways to kill this guy because I've already rattled those 4 guys up there. Or these guys are all rattled. So 84%, I think I missed this one. Yeah, I'm like, this RNG is like super, like, fucked, like completely fucked me up. But... Dimitri can still swoop in there and actually kill this guy with the 90 on the javelin. So thank God for that. Yeah, so we take care of the ballista guy, and that was a huge boon. Like, that guy was super distracting. Now the key thing that the way the AI prioritizes these monsters is that they're always going to prioritize the monsters over everything. So that you want to take that to you want to make that advantageous for you by like letting the monsters fight the guys and having you kind of sweep the rest of the guys on the bottom. So as you can see, like, we only have like 5 guys to take care of on this top side, while all these guys at the top are just like beating each other up, and it's actually kind of hilarious. Like, they're just getting so distracted. Let's skip to their phase. Yeah, so these guys, this is all they're doing. All they're doing is trying to kill these beasts, and they're withering themselves down. They're super distracted, and basically you want to use these beasts to your advantage, and that is why you want to keep this one alive too, because basically. They're all gathering up there, and you take care of the guys on the bottom, no problem, right? And you're taking care of these guys and these guys. And now that, so it's funny because once Balthus actually moves up, you'll see right here, once Balthus moves up, this guy gets really upset for some reason. Grarg. And so now Balthus is fine. He's back in the mix. And there's going to be even the Cavaliers here are going to try to fight this giant bird too. So now they're being distracted over there. So now you have like way more of a carte blanche to like keep going. And now dealing with these guys who are all kind of withered away. Like they're all ready to get their ass beat. They just felt like a bunch of like, look at them. Like they're all damaged right now. So like they're really like messed up by this. Like there's a bunch of archers here and you know what I'm going to do with that. Basically we take care of those two guys. Another instance of retribution tanking is right here. The 4 melee you guys who won't do shit to Edelgard, and because of that she's just going to tank everything. And she's just going to bait everyone like 1 damage. Oh cool, bro, you're dead. Yeah, so big tanks over there, and now they're all set up to just get completely just destroyed. I think we just kind of come over and just like smash the shit out of all of them. Yeah, they're all just fucked. They all die. And yeah, so this chapter pretty much is finished at this point. It's pretty much just like routing everyone. So let's just kind of skip to the next chapter. This guy is still being a distraction, which is awesome. And that's pretty much a wrap. Like that's chapter 6. Like that's basically it. Now this chapter is a very divisive chapter for some folks, and it's because there's a lot of bolting. There's a lot of bolting in this map. And that's pretty much the big risk. There's 3 bolting mages at the very, very top. Yeah, so the gimmick here is that so Elfric is like impossible to kill. You'll deal 0 damage on him. He's getting like generated power by like these blood pool things, like these vortexes. So the gimmick is you pretty much have to place a non-Ashen Wolves unit on each of the four yeah, drain into raw power, and the raw power is going towards Elfric. So if you place someone other than those students from the Ashen Wolves house top, the 4 vortices, you can thwart the Rite of Rising. So basically you have to go 1, 2, 3, 4 with different units, and then Elfric becomes actually able to be defeated. Otherwise he's too strong and he'll like just fuck you up. He's just like invulnerable to damage. Now at first I thought that the 4 Ashen Wolves were too weak to kind of like handle on their own. So I actually had them solo and kind of camp their own spot and not let them move. But later on, I realized that actually Balthus and Yuri can like tank these 2 fighters up there and whatever. So like Yuri can most likely take on these 2 fighters and stuff like that. But you can kind of let them kind of float around for a bit before you actually like commit. What else did I do here? Oh yeah, Armor Slayer. So Armor Slayer and soloing with Byleth is actually super epic because the Armor Slayer is the only thing he can use that actually like does effective damage against the armors. So if you're gonna try to like kind of solo and tank and dodge tank with Byleth, you're gonna have to deal with armors. So giving an Armor Slayer to him, and I think I actually reforged it to be a little bit stronger as well, or I guess more accurate because like yeah, that's what I did. I actually also bought a hammer. I just went all in and bought a hammer. Or I forged my hammer that I gave to Claude right here. Yeah, I just forged it. I said, fuck it. Like, he'll need it. Yeah, there's a lot of armors in this map. So once we start, pretty much the first thing I did was I brought Byleth up after the Retribution. So look at this. Like, he's going to dodge tank all those guys. He's ready to fuck them up. We make sure we're out of the bolting range. We're getting people around. The mini bow won't really be able to do anything, but he still has a hammer ready. Ash, unfortunately, is in range of a single bolting, which is fine. He's not going to get killed by it or anything. So this is where, and this is also kind of what you have to be wary of. Like, they will get targeted, and so you kind of want to like this is like Happy's really susceptible right here, so she has to like move to the corner there, or like just move out of harm's way because there's too many guys who can just fuck her up in one turn. So she just goes right there. I make sure that Yuri is backed up, but like he could like take on these 2 no problem. Like it's something he could easily do. Balthus is a little kind of weaker, so I just made sure that he wouldn't be able to be hit by anybody. And now, so here comes the like the risk. Now this strat is kind of RNG based because Like 51 chance to hit is pretty high. No one has rally speed, but like my skill is really high. I'm not going to get crit, and the like I dodged the shit out of all these. So a 51% chance to hit on a bolting. I could have handled this differently. I threw Byleth in at the very beginning because I was confident that he'd be able to dodge tank everything. But because the positioning of the bolting mages are in such a way that you can kind of like take on one at a time, you could technically just deal with one bolting mage at a time and have retribution for everything. But I decided to say fuck it and dodge tank. So he pretty much dodged everything with his Armor Slayer and just like crushed everyone here. One went down. Then this bolting mage tried to target. Oh, he targeted Ash because Ash retributioned. This bolting mage targeted me. 38% chance to hit. I don't know why that there was a 51% chance to hit there, but maybe that one was just stronger than the other ones. Maybe. Yeah. So the hit rates are in your favor for the most part in every single map ever against whoever. Like Byleth is just too fast. And then we have Edelgard dodge tanking everything. Or not dodge tanking. She's just like physically tanking everything. Like she's so good. Like look at this. Like what they have to do here is they have to gambit, because if they have the gambits, they're going to use it because they know they have no chance on actually connecting with Byleth. Like he actually tried to do that as well. And again, the dodge rates are in your favor here. Now you can make an argument about like, should you really be relying on hit rates for strategy? And I would say yes. Like this is Fire Emblem. Like you should. Like if you like part of like the strategy for Fire Emblem, in my opinion, is that like you want to do as much as you can to like rig the RNG in your favor, because like this game is based off RNG, and like dodge tanking is a legit strat in this game specifically. Like if you want to break units and you break characters and break chapters, you stack up avoid as high as possible, and then like no one can hit you. And like if your charmer is that high and you're the main lord, then like not even like gambits from enemies can really do that much of a threat to you. Like gambits become your only threat. And like I said, like I feel like the strat of enemy phase dodge tanking is way more emphasized in Cindered Shadows, because a lot of units do not have battalions. Like a lot of enemies don't have it. Like these two guys do, but like who gives a shit? Like I pretty much like decided, hey, there's another bolting mage over here, and we're just gonna use our whatever, and just like I think I even just decided to go like grounder or some shit, and just like yeah, that's what I did. So Byleth is just like crushing it right now. There's another guy coming in here. Let's see what his hit rate was. And then like 51% chance to connect. So that's pretty scary, but like he's the only like, and then like what, that armor is going to actually hit me? Not a chance. So yeah, this is literally the theme of the entire run, was just like dodge tanking with Byleth the entire time. And for these three knights, we just kind of took them on, like just like beat each single one. Super vulnerable to magic, obviously. For these guys, I think we just fucked them up. Like I think I didn't even assault troop there. I don't know what I did, but they died. Happy and Constance are still kind of chilling here. I just made sure that they had like vulneraries and stuff. They won't die from their poison. It's just treated like normal poison. Enemy phase starts. We're getting targeted with boltings. I dodged it again, and you're dead. Oh no, my Armor Slayer actually broke here. I had my Iron Sword equipped for some reason. Yeah, but then I had a Rusted Sword. But yeah, just be careful about like your weapons not breaking, I guess. And yeah, so basically like all the bolting mages are pretty much like taken care of for the most part. Like they're pretty much rode off. And then at this point, it just becomes like the Holy Mausoleum chapter version 2, where you're just like routing enemies and stuff like that. So yeah, the bolting is the biggest problem, hands down. There was a point where I tried to distant counter Elfric, and I'll show you what happened there. Yeah, I think here what I decided to do was I took my Sword of the Creator, and because like most of the armors were pretty much like rode off, I just like increased my avoid by even more. Like now I have like 40% more avoid now, because now I'm on a tile. And I'm level 34. My speed is 38 now. Like I pretty much have an effective 60% speed growth right now. It's just fucking crazy. Like at this point, I was starting to realize that Yuri could actually probably take these guys on. Yeah, so bolting at 30%. No, actually, this is actually where I got actually bad RNG. So I get this connection there, and I think I get assault troop. I think an assault troop actually connects with me here. Yeah, I think this is where I get hit by that, and that fucks me up kind of bad, but not super terrible. This is where like the dodge tanking really got at risk. I feel like I got connected. I started to proc Vantage, which was good. And I was getting my crest activated. No, okay, so I think it was another turn where I like dodge tanked literally everything, and it was like super high risk. But like if you're not confident in the AS for Byleth and the speed for and the avoid for Byleth to take people on, like just take your time with the map. Like literally just like don't go as hardcore as I did. Like take on the bolting mages as they come along. Retribution, like you have that strat. The armors aren't going to be like able to gambit you at the same time. If you're not like, I'm really overextending with Byleth, but that's because like my Byleth is really good and his AS is super high. And like, I don't trust that like 35s are going to connect all the time, or barely ever. So at this point, I'm just like taking care of these armors. I'm making sure that I can like deal with them. I think I also use Linhardt to physic Byleth or something. Yeah, Yuri, I decided, hey, he can probably take these guys on. Yeah, this is where I decided, okay, these guys can be like fucked with. Oh, Dimitri is covering that spot. I actually have Dimitri. I think I take Edelgard and bring her up to the right. Let's get to the point where I actually tried Byleth against Elfric, and it was just like a colossal mistake. Yeah, I just decided to say fuck it. Like this was a huge risk for me. Like, I literally think I did this. Yeah, I just said like let's do it. Who gives a shit? And I just said like let's go all in. That was this was the biggest risk of the day. I just decided to go all in with Byleth. Just taking on all those axe guys. Like, look at this. Like there's 6 axe users. This mode is dominated by them. It's crazy. Yeah, so Byleth went in. Byleth, like, Leroy Jenkins this shit. We're here. He takes on the last bolting mage. We have the armor slayer equipped. Boom. Now I don't know like what Elfric is doing, and like I didn't expect Elfric to be literally invulnerable, but I found out the hard way, because what happens here is that like we're dealing with like 23% chances to hit, which is like pretty I would say like a good rate, you know? Like I would be like that's a trustworthy mega dodge like potential, you know what I mean? Except this happens. So Elfric gets mad and boltings me, and he has 88% chance to hit with Meteor, which is definitely going to hit. And I did not see that coming at all. I didn't really do the math at all, but that's going to happen. So yeah. So I get smacked by a 45, and I can't do anything. So I'm like, what the hell is going on right now? And then there's all these armors, but they don't have any gambits, and I have Vantage procced right now. So I'm just kind of hoping that I survive. I get more speed. I'm just kind of going in. Like 27 is kind of scary. And I'm just like hoping for the best that I don't get hit. And I actually don't end up getting hit. Like I crit with Vantage, which is pretty sweet, honestly. Like if I get hit once, it's over. But honestly, like if I got caught in the situation and I actually like game overed, I would just go at it way more patiently. Like again, I went super gung ho and just said fuck it because I was on a roll and I wanted to go for it for the memes and stuff and for like Byleth to just go in on the paint. Like then I got to a point where no, I actually was always at risk of getting killed in one hit. But like I dodged like a lot of like bad hit rates, which was, you know, kind of what I predicted. And like, that's part of the strategy for the entire run. And then he like procced the crest and got a crit, and then we're good to go. And then at this point, the run just became getting everyone to their spots and then unsealing the ritual or whatever. And then eventually, it was just a matter of, let's go back here. There's a really funny line that I dropped around here. Yeah, no, it was pretty much, again, just retribution, I think. Yeah, it was still retribution. He goes for the second meteor. I double, and I actually crit the shit out of him. Yeah, I crit him. I say goodbye, my friend. Boom, 45 damage, and then I do it again. It's over. So yeah, the bolting can be a risk, but retribution and then just like either taking your time or dodge tanking them is pretty much going to trivialize the chapter. That's basically all you have to do. Like, honestly, like this map wasn't that difficult. It was like, I get the bolting mages can be really frustrating, but like you have the fastest unit of all time and you have retribution and you have like abilities to double. It's insane. Like, just literally dodge tank. Like, and if you can't dodge tank, just like bait and then retribution them. Like, that's all you have to do to take care of them. Elfric is a risk, but he can't crit. Like, Meteor, I don't think will crit. I don't even think it has built-in crit at all. Yeah, and that's what I did. Yeah, so that was chapter 6. So big thing is Byleth is a god. Swordmaster Byleth is just OP. And then we get to the end game, and then we get to the boss. So people have been telling me that they have a really hard time with this fight. So I'll tell you some tips that I stuck with. So the first thing I did was I actually swapped battalions. So we're right here. I want you to pay attention to what I do here because it actually kind of was pretty helpful. Look at everyone's charm. Okay, so like, Claude has a pretty shitty battalion on, but he has 25 charm, which is the 4th highest of the team right now. And she has, well, Hilda has 22 charm, but it's not 25. So what I did was I took Mad Melee and I swapped it for Claude. So I have as much damage that I can do with Mad Melee as possible. Claude became, Claude stuck as a, no, actually, this is what I did. I made Claude into a sniper because I wanted the Bowfair. So he's back to a sniper now. Because I can only use Mad Melee if he's an infantry class. So I changed with Hilda here, and now I have a good. Now I have, you know, like one of my best charm units with a good battalion. And now, so basically the way you deal with these massive monsters is you pretty much spread your gambits in ways that covers the most ground as possible. So a really easy way to do it with this one is first you would just want to like surround the enemy. So the first turn is just about kind of surrounding the boss. The Elfric illusions come in and all you have to do is just kill them. Like, they're not really scary. They're literally not terrifying at all. They're worse versions of Elfric basically. And you just kind of go in and you like just beat the shit out of them. Like, it's pretty straightforward. So you always, I would say you always want to kill the Elfrics. Like anytime they come up, you kill them. You canto out, you just beat them that way. If you want to have one of your stronger units tank one of the attacks by the big monster, you can. It's really slow. It won't double you, and it doesn't really have any crit. Like, it has 0 crit. It'll do a lot of damage, but it actually won't kill you. So in this case, I just attacked this Elfric. And I tanked a hit from the boss. Ash is going to get hit, but it's fine because he's not going to get critted or killed. And so now we get into the gambits. So let's get into this turn here. So now check it out. So we have Blaze from Yuri, and Blaze is going to deal 2 damage, which is fine, but look at the area it's covering. 3, 3, and 1. So we get into some battle quotes. Boom, boom, boom. Big Lord battle. Big Lord Blaze. And we go kapow. So we smash him on one side. He is now broken barriers here, and now he's all like, there's a bunch of broken ones here. You take Edelgard's Blaze, and then you blaze on the other side. The big AoE seems terrifying, but it does a 10 to 25% AoE damage of your max HP that won't actually kill you. It won't kill you. It'll just do like 10 to 20% of your max HP, which is pretty devastating, but there's like, it's not that scary at all. So we blaze again. We're not dealing too much damage, but as you can see here, we do a double blaze, and then boom, he only has 4 broken barrier, or like 4 damaged barriers now. And at that point, all you have to do is just kind of break them. You can either choose to assault troop them, or since you have so many units that can just break it easily, you can just kind of do whatever you want and just shatter the barrier that way. I don't even think I used my battalion. I think I saved it actually. Let's see what I did. No, I did use this. Did I use assault troop? Nope, well, maybe I did. I think I used assault troop right here. Yeah, I used assault troop and it broke that barrier. So that shattered him, rattled him like that. And then it became a matter of going to town and just going super ham and like just attacking him as much as possible, draining his HP. And the next turn comes in, he summons another Elfric. Like Balthus is right there. So just like use Balthus to kill Elfric. He'll kill him in 1 hit, I think. Like Happy is slow, which is her big problem, is that she's slow. But she can deal with the Elfrics, which is cool. I healed Ash here because he takes a lot of shit from this boss. The mages kind of get their ass beat, so I kind of like to keep them away from him. He deals physical damage, so the mages are obviously going to get their, like, just totally crushed. But everyone else should be stocky enough to deal with at least 1 hit from him. So they can Canto out like that. And then it's just a matter of attacking. So physical damage, like Hilda, who's generally pretty squishy, can still survive. Basically, what I did here was I did Assault Troop, or I actually just did raw damage. Yeah, combat arts with Monster Breaker for Edelgard. I actually made Edelgard into a warrior for Axe Fair and for higher crit and for more mobility. So this is the only time I ever used Edelgard as a warrior in this whole run. I decided to Gambit instead. I Gambited with Assault Troop here. So he won't actually regenerate his shield, so just go to town. Just go hard on him. Like, just drain everything, every resource you have. Just play smart. He can only attack 1 person at a time. So if you want to play, like, if you want to, like, big brain this, these 2 spirit things actually, well, I don't know how RNG they are, but the first time I put someone there, they got a Gambit use. So I actually Divine Pulse and actually used an Assault Troop Gambit, and then I Cantoed back to that spot and got another Gambit. So that was some, like, major big brain play. Yeah, this map just ended up being hitting. So we'll skip to when he AoEs. Okay, so I think he just did it. Yeah, so basically what happens with this one, it's pretty weird, but so he's going to AoE. It's Umbral Surge. He does an AoE damage. It goes crazy. He hits everyone for 25% of their total health, so everyone gets pretty messed up in different ways. Then it says, after using the staggering blow Umbral Surge, the Umbral Beast seems faltering. During the next player phase, the Beast will have reduced crit, avoid, and will not counterattack. So basically, his crit avoid is really low, which means your crit rate skyrockets, and he can't counter. So he pretty much like used the AoE, and he rattled himself. Which pretty much gives you like carte blanche to like fucking kill this guy for real. He like morphs in different positions, but like at this point, if you played your cards right, he's ready to die in this turn. So he beat up the Elfrics, and then he has 1 more block of HP left. And it's just a matter of like taking your time, dealing with them with like your good units. He can't counterattack right now, so just go ham if you can. Okay, so this is where I made a mistake. I attacked him, and then I left Ash in range, and Ash is already damaged, so he would die. So I'll skip to where Ash just got killed. Or no, it was Constance that just got killed because I left her in range. So just after that AoE turn, you can't hit, like he won't hit back, but he will prioritize anyone he can kill right afterwards. So even if he can't hit, stay out of the range with your squishier units. So the same rules apply to the entire map. Just like keep your squishy mages away, and then you'll be fine. So Ash gets away. We make sure that he's not in range. I move Hilda out. We can Deadeye this, I guess. Yeah, and he has one more bar of health left, and so basically, yeah, you just like let your physical units. He's never going to be able to double any of your like your main physical force units. Eventually, it gets to a point where he's on his last bar of health, and sort of the creator, I think, is what I just used, and then I just wrapped it up there. Yeah, so we just did this. He actually dropped a crit. It was pretty epic. It was a pretty crazy crazy moment. Salute, goodbye, big monster, and that's it. And that's like the mode. So, for the last boss, just use your gambits strategically. Break the barrier as quick as you can, and then keep your squish units away. Whenever Elfric comes in, just kill him. And then he'll be fine. And eventually, like, he can't double anyone that's like a physical unit. For the most part, he'll be able to double Happy and Edelgard or something, but Edelgard's already too stocky for it to actually really matter that much. Kind of my survival guide. I went on for like 2 hours, so I have to like really cut down on this. But what I would just suggest is, like, if you're really struggling, play to the strengths of the units. Like I think Byleth is top tier for this mode because he can dodge tank everything. Make sure like Edelgard and Dimitri and Claude are getting like good hits and good kills because they're going to be doing a large chunk. In my opinion, they should be doing a large chunk of the damage. Ashe has a solid role to play. He's a good archer. He has Deadeye, which is a lot of range. My Ashe got really good strength growth, which is really surprising. He did a good job. Hilda is kind of good in some instances. She's fast. She's strong. That's kind of all she has. She's quite squishy. Not really the most reliable unit, in my opinion. Balthus is pretty like underwhelming, to be honest. Happy and Constance are really, really good. Happy is definitely not as good as Constance is because Constance actually has speed and has like flight mobility and doesn't get marred by stairs or like forest terrain or anything. And Yuri, foul play is like the fucking most fun combat art in the game. Like, holy shit. Yeah. So, take note, if you want more detail as to these strategies actually happening in real time, the VOD is going to be in the thingy. What is it called? The card up here somewhere. So you can actually see the full VOD of each chapter. Hopefully you've learned something on how to actually like, take on these maps in a way that's a little bit more productive or a little bit like better, more strategic than what you're currently doing. It is a challenging mode, and like this is coming from someone who like really likes challenging chapters and who plays a lot and is kind of like really experienced in Fire Emblem. So the whole mode for me was like a fair challenge. It wasn't super overwhelming. There wasn't really any parts where I was like, holy shit, that were like kind of not self-imposed. But if you're having a hard time, hopefully this survival guide, which is just me kind of going over what I did, helps you out. And if it did, leave a like and a comment down below. And if you have anything more to contribute as far as your strategies go, go ahead. If you're having a hard time, like check the comments, see what they have to say. But for the most part, golden rule, Swordmaster Byleth, be aware that you can reclass and change inventory, change abilities and combat arts, make them suitable for the map you're on. Retribution, dodge tank. That was literally the strat for me, pretty much. Hope you guys have a good weekend, and I'll see you in the next one. Deuces.